world of Dragon Ball is arguably the most recognizable, influential, and important anime in history. It's because of this franchise that much of the Western world was ready to embrace anime and give it the recognition that it so justly deserved. Dragon Ball actually spans across the original self-titled series and gets followed up by subsequent series like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. But no branch of this show's story is better or more beloved than Dragon Ball Z. It's undoubtedly the flagship series of the franchise, and for good reason. Dragon Ball Z is fucking awesome. It raised me and countless other generations of kids. Luckily, this means that we've been given our fair share of great characters. In fact, there are so many, it's hard to even remember them all. Well, today I'm going to run through a list of my favorite characters in the series. Now, even though I'm going to be using some clips from Dragon Ball Super just as kind of like some background footage, that doesn't mean I'm going to be taking into account things that the characters did outside of Dragon Ball Z. This means they'll only be judged from the time that Raditz and the Saiyans arrived all the way until Goku and Vegeta defeat Majin Buu.
That should have been me!
I know there's a little extra side story with Goku in the World Tournament and all that, but I mean, nothing really happens there, so let's just forget about that. These are the 10 best characters in Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion. Number 10, Bulma. Now, Bulma is an interesting choice for this list as she doesn't really do any fighting. She's not a warrior. What she is, however, is undoubtedly one of the smartest anime characters of all time. Now, I know that's a big statement to make, but y'all just hear me out on this. This girl is the childhood friend of our main guy, Goku. She found him one day when she was looking for the Dragon Balls using her Dragon Radar. Did you hear what I just said? She made a pocket-sized device capable of zeroing in on and locating the mystical Dragon Balls. She manages to reverse engineer alien technology like every damn story arc. She made a vocalizer for an alien frog on Namek without even knowing its biology. She created a time machine for future Trunks. Yeah! More on that guy later. To go back in time and change the past. Oh, and you know those pills that everything comes in? Those capsules? Yeah, she and her family created the Capsule Corporation, which is a company that has everything you need but inside of a capsule. This means she literally is able to alter the reality of both solid matter and the mass and density of that object. She's just next level. Bulma's awesome. However, even though she's absolutely brilliant and one of the all-time great characters in anime, it doesn't mean she's going to be ranked above any of the Z fighters, including number 9, Tien. Now, much like with numbers 10 through 8, if this list was about Dragon Ball, then Tien would be way higher. This guy used to be one of Goku's rivals in the World Tournament. He came from the opposing martial arts school that Goku and Krillin trained under with Master Roshi, so he was kind of like the Cobra Kai dudes in the original Karate Kid.
You going down at that karate tournament?
I don't think so.
You guys do karate? You're both losers.
But he's actually quite the badass who, unlike the other side characters, manages to stay relevant all the way up until the Cell Saga. He's also responsible for a lot of the series' most popular moves, including the Solar Flare, a blinding attack that leaves the enemy helpless until their vision returns. He and his sidekick Chaozu are an inseparable duo, who, along with Krillin, manage to keep the battles a little more grounded than their Saiyan counterparts. Oh, and speaking of the little bald guy, number 8, Krillin. The childhood best friend of Goku and the strongest human on Earth. No, Tien is not a human. Didn't you notice that third eye? Krillin spends time as a pivotal support character in battle and an ever-hopeful cheerleader for Goku and Gohan. And he's actually pretty damn formidable whenever his enemies underestimate him. Whether it's giving us a badass move like the Destructo Disc to help hold off the Saiyans until Goku arrives, or doing his best to keep Gohan alive on Namek. It's safe to say that without characters like Krillin, the story would never have gotten to where it is today. Plus, it's because of his death at the hands of Frieza that we were blessed with the Super Saiyan form, as it was his death that finally sent Goku over the edge. And thus, anime was changed forever. And while we're on the topic of his death, number 7, Frieza. Ah, Frieza, the iconic racist ruler of the known galaxy. This guy is a pretty big deal. You see, this guy rules over a bunch of different planets, and one of them used to be... You see, he used to be in charge of a bunch of different planets, including a little planet that happened to be named Vegeta, home of the Saiyans. That was until Goku's dad started a rebellion, and then he used one little finger to wipe both it and the planet off the map. He's basically the Hitler of Dragon Ball Z if Hitler was a complete beast. His power level is off the charts, and his seemingly never-ending amount of transformations and battle with Goku are the stuff of anime legend. We all remember where we were the first time that we watched a fight that blew up a planet.
Oh God. Global warming? No!
He's definitely the most iconic villain of the entire franchise.
But no,
He's not the highest ranked villain on this list. And had he just taken Goku's advice and just left the battle to go float off into space for a while and think about what he did, it's very likely that he would have survived long enough to get fuck. And had he taken Goku's advice and just run away to go train rather than almost dying when Namek blew up, it's very likely that he would have been able to come back stronger and better than ever, rather than dying at the hands of number 6, Future Trunks. Future Trunks is just, he's just so damn cool. If you can give me a Dragon Ball character who had a better introduction, I'll kiss you on the lips right now. When we first meet this kid, he shows up rocking that sweet Backstreet Boys haircut and that crop top style jacket and that sword. Dude just showed up with the drip. In his first appearance, the dude talks so much shit to the newly rebuilt Frieza, who's supposed to be even stronger than he was, and his rather disappointing dad. Then he proceeds to absolutely destroy them both with no effort at all. Plus, he gives Frieza a war flashback by transforming into a fucking Super Saiyan. Trust me, before everyone could do it, this was a huge deal.
Whether you like him or don't like him, there's nothing you can do about him because he's number 1.
Now Trunks is the son of Bulma and Vegeta. That's right, these two settled down.
And got busy!
But this version of Trunks is from an alternate timeline in the future, thus earning the name Future Trunks, who has traveled back in time to warn the others of the android attack that has destroyed his timeline and killed pretty much everyone he knows, including his mentor, a future version of Gohan, which, by the way, that scene is one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in all of anime. Trunks pretty much pulls a Marty McFly from Back to the Future. He shows up and immediately impresses everyone in the past with his swag and abilities, all while trying to avoid anyone knowing his identity and helping them prevent the terrible future that he comes from. He manages to prepare them for the androids and gives Goku a cure to the heart disease that took him down in his timeline. He also helps Vegeta to achieve a new level beyond Super Saiyan, but unfortunately he was no match for the next guy on this list, and my favorite villain of the entire franchise, number 5, Cell. Cell is just everything an anime villain should be. He is an absolute terrifying powerhouse who's intelligent, charismatic, and most importantly, ruthless. We learn that he's some kind of new genetic android with the living tissue of all of the universe's most powerful fighters, giving him access to their powers and abilities. This is why he's considered the perfect being. Cell actually comes from an alternate future timeline in which he killed that timeline's Trunks to steal the time machine and come back. Y'all, the Android and Cell saga was fucking wild. Not only is he already at a level far beyond Super Saiyan when he arrives, but he also has plans to absorb both Android 17 and 18, thus evolving into his semi-perfect and perfect transformations, making his power level during this time seem almost incomprehensible. When the dude first shows up, he's seen literally sucking the population dry as he gains more power, and that was pretty horrifying to a lot of kids. And both his power and the threat of his existence only grow from there, adding a sense of desperation to stop him before he achieves his perfect form. It's almost like there's a doomsday clock that as soon as he achieves that form, everyone's fucked. But once he does achieve it, he maintains a certain aura that I just haven't seen in any other Dragon Ball villain. His brutality, his otherworldly power, and his sarcastic sense of humor make him truly one of a kind.
You're a fool.
He's the kind of villain the Dragon Ball franchise has been missing ever since his death at the hands of young Gohan. Oh my god, my nipples are acting up just thinking about that final beam struggle. If it wasn't for our next entry, he'd easily be the best green character in the franchise. But unfortunately for him, and luckily for us, that title belongs to number 4, Piccolo. Just how great is the character of Piccolo? Piccolo's an Namekian, and he's actually the quote-unquote son of the original Demon King Piccolo who fought Goku back in the original series. Though he started out as Goku's rival, once Vegeta and the Saiyans arrived, Piccolo needed a new thing for his character. And that change to his character would ultimately be one of the greatest changes that Toriyama Sensei ever gave us. When Goku and Raditz both die at the hands of Piccolo's special beam cannon, Goku uses his dying words to beg Piccolo to train Gohan in preparation for the Saiyans who are making their way to Earth. And this one little decision, this one little request, turns Piccolo from the stoic rival of Goku to a much more complex role entirely. It's during his time training Gohan that Piccolo learns to care for others, as Gohan is the first person to actually treat him like he's not a monster. This is what starts the greatest relationship in all of Dragon Ball. You can have all your romances you want, but the best relationship in this show is the one between Gohan and Piccolo as Gohan's surrogate stepfather. But let's not gloss over the fact that Piccolo used to beat the shit out of Gohan during their training sessions. It was straight baptism by fire.
No, really, I don't think I can move.
Can't you jump any higher than that?
Dude put him through the Major Pain style boot camp.
What if this was a life or death situation?
But it's not a life or death situation.
It is now!
A reference that I sure hope my audience understands and appreciates, rather than making me feel older than I already am. Piccolo is the only non-Saiyan character who not only manages to keep up with Goku and Vegeta, but he even surpasses them on a couple of occasions. He was actually the strongest fighter in Dragon Ball Z at both times of his fusions with Nail and Kami. Not to mention, his battle with Android 17 is probably the most underrated fight in the entire franchise. With a unique arsenal of moves and abilities, this Earth-dwelling Namekian is always there to provide cold-hearted but logical advice to characters like Goku, Vegeta, and most importantly, number 3, Gohan. Alright, here it is, all cards on the table. Gohan was my dude growing up. When I first watched Dragon Ball Z, I was roughly the same age as Gohan was during their time on Namek. So seeing someone so close to my age being able to keep up with and actually be more powerful than the adults was kind of a special experience. I felt like I grew up with Gohan. You see, Gohan is the most naturally powerful fighter throughout all of Dragon Ball Z. Though he's timid, has a soft heart, and just wants to focus on his studies,
I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
Gohan possesses a hidden pool of power that far exceeds characters like Goku or Vegeta. He's able to tap into his latent power during times of great emotional stress, but it's not until his fight with Cell that we see who Gohan really is.
And I won't watch this anymore!
This is hype and foreshadowing done right. If you want to make a show that hypes up a character's untapped abilities, watch Dragon Ball Z. When Cell kills Android 16, who had just begged Gohan to forget his gentle nature and fight Cell, we witness the single greatest transformation in all of Dragon Ball. You all can have your Ultra Instinct and its score that goes along with it. The Super Saiyan 2 transformation of Gohan with the Bruce Falconer score is the greatest transformation in the franchise, and I will die on that hill. That track absolutely demolishes the one for Ultra Instinct. Don't believe me? Go look it up. I can't play them for copyright reasons, so just go look them up. I mean, after you watch this video. Finish the video. And also, I am sick and tired of everyone acting like the Bruce Falconer score is not one of the best Dragon Ball scores of all time. We all know it is, it's just you purists out there who don't want to give it the credit that it deserves. Though Gohan would eventually slack off on his training and have to get good again for the fight against Majin Buu, we will always have this moment as the peak of Dragon Ball Z in terms of epic scope.
Now's your chance!
Unfortunately, according to unconfirmed fan speculation and public backlash and pressure, Toriyama did decide to sideline Gohan once again in order to turn the reins of the hero back over to number 2, Goku. As the main character of a franchise that's 40 years old, Goku, originally named Kakarot before arriving on Earth and getting a factory reset due to bumping his head, is a shoo-in for one of the best characters in Dragon Ball Z. Our favorite space orphan turned savior of Earth has carried the torch of this franchise from the beginning. But he's a little different in each series. Most agree that his peak version is in Dragon Ball Z.
I'm afraid I have no choice.
Neither do I.
This is because, unlike in Dragon Ball or in Dragon Ball Super, Goku isn't just a powerhouse with Golden Retriever software. He's more complex. DBZ Goku is a peak anime protagonist. Playful and sweet by default, but serious and intimidating when the situation calls for it, he always shows up in time to save the day. He's an absolute beast, but one who prefers to grant mercy to his opponents. And the version of him in Dragon Ball Z really does a good job of highlighting his intelligence and battle IQ. He's not just the strongest because he trains hard. It's because he trains smart. Dragon Ball Z Goku is more like a golden retriever who also lives for battle. He wants every last bit of the smoke. But unfortunately, he did undergo some changes throughout the years. It's like both Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super watched Dragon Ball Z and they just both picked one personality trait and said, yeah, that'll be enough. But in Dragon Ball Z, it's magic. Also, when Goku learns that he has the upper hand, he absolutely becomes one of the most disrespectful anime characters of all time, and it's just delightful.
I'm gonna slap some sense into you!
Son Goku is the flagship character of not only the Dragon Ball franchise, he's also the unofficial mascot for anime in general. You see, Goku ran so other anime characters could run.
That doesn't make sense.
Though his tendency to get serious with his enemies has since been dialed back in an effort to keep the shows more lighthearted, Goku in Dragon Ball Z will continue to be the greatest iteration of one of the greatest characters in all of anime history. And much like with a lot of these characters, I truly don't think it matters if you watch the original or dubbed versions. He's just so well written that you can't go wrong. However, for as great as Goku is, there's a prideful elephant in the room who I'm sure everyone has guessed is at the #1 spot. Number 1, Vegeta. Vegeta is hands down the greatest character Toriyama Sensei has ever created. He's just awesome. Some fans will say that Vegeta is overrated because he just kind of remains morally gray for most of Dragon Ball Z, but I say that makes him the most interesting character in the show. This man was born and raised to be the Prince of Saiyans. He was brought up under the thumb of Frieza and was basically mentally programmed for violence and conquest. But his first trip to Earth and subsequent fight with Goku, or Kakarot as he calls him, changes the Prince of Saiyans, and for the better. Though he was originally meant to be a one-time villain, the decision to bring him back led to one of the greatest character arcs in all of anime. This man wasn't raised to express any other kinds of emotions besides rage and more rage. Throughout the series, he had to teach himself how to care and love for others, and most importantly, how to let others love and care for him.
I was the perfect warrior, cold and ruthless. I lived by my strength alone, uninhibited by foolish emotion. But slowly, over the years, I became one of you. My quest for greatness gradually giving way to this life of mediocrity. I awoke one day to find that I had settled down, formed a family. I had even grown quite fond of them.
Now, a huge amount of credit for this goes to Bulma, which is why I will defend her position on this list with my life. Although his battle IQ is arguably higher than his rival / best friend Goku, he never manages to win against any major Dragon Ball villain. This is because Vegeta is usually used as kind of like an opener for the main event that is Goku. And just like with Goku, both the original Japanese and English voice actors do an amazing job making us feel all of his emotions.
People, don't you see the universe matters more than your meaningless squabble?
What do you know of meaningless? Spend most of your life ruled by another. Watch your race dwindle to a handful. And then, tell me what has more meaning than your own strength!
That's how you know a character is an all-time great. So while he may not be the main character in his own story, he is definitely the character who has stolen the hearts of Dragon Ball fans across the world for generations. Oh, and don't even get me started on his speeches. Oh my god, his speeches! Just thinking about some of his lines from the show is enough to get my fat ass in the gym all day, every day. In a way, Vegeta actually embodies Dragon Ball Z itself. But if there's one flaw I have to point out, it's the scars. Where did his scars go, Toriyama? If we meet in heaven, that's the first question I'm asking you. What happened to the scars? I need to know. That, and he totally could have ended the entire Cell saga on his own, but his pride got in the way, so.
Now go and absorb your android.
Oh god damn it.
Is Vegeta. What are you gonna do? But anyways, those are my picks for the 10 best characters in Dragon Ball Z. If you were hoping to see someone like Master Roshi, well, he doesn't do much in Dragon Ball Z. If this list were about Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super, then he'd make an appearance. But he's sidelined for the majority of Dragon Ball Z. So what do y'all think of my list? Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, a like and a comment would truly go a long way, and it helps the video out more than you know. Plus, it only takes a few seconds to do so. Y'all can spare a few seconds. So until the next video, I hope y'all all have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you next time.